Welcome aboard. It's been a while since we've been able to do a walkthrough for you guys, but I promise the wait was worth it because today we have a Nordlund 66. It's a real beast of a boat. You guys will love it. It's lent to us by Newport Yachts here, myself and Newport Yachts. I tell you guys it's for sale, but it was actually just sold. So you guys are gonna be able to enjoy this walkthrough free of any further advertising. That's not entirely true. Obviously, if you guys have any boating needs here in Southern California or anywhere else in the US, you can check out Newport Yachts to go ahead and help you. And if you want to do it yourself without the help of a broker, you can go ahead and head over to setsailmarine.com. That is my website, and I'm happy to say that it's one of the fastest growing marketplaces to buy and sell your boat. Uses AI tools and everything you need over there. So all these links will be in the description down below. Now, to this Nordlund. For those of you unfamiliar with Nordlund, they are a boat builder out of Tacoma, Washington. They are primarily a shipyard now, but if you're a boat enthusiast like myself, you'll probably recognize them because they've built pretty much all of your favorite boats, like this one and this one and this one and that one. All Nordlunds and primarily designed by Ed Monk and Sons. This boat had its hull designed by Ed Monk and Sons. As you can tell, it doesn't really so much look like all the other sport yachts that I've shown you guys. It does still have a bit of a pointy bow, but for the most part, it is much wider than all the other sport yachts we're used to seeing. And as you can tell, it has no windows. Back in 1995, they did this thing that they don't really do anymore called portholes, and it's got a couple of those down the side. And I actually want to point out that they're actually a bit small. I'll let you guys know why I find that's interesting, because the inside has one of the best natural light I've ever seen on any other boat. As we take a look at the top side and cruise all the way around, you'll see a lot of similar styling cues that they used back in the 90s. We have this windshield that kind of terminates right here on the side, with the other side windows coming and flowing beneath it. You'll see that in a lot of Sunships, other Nordlunds, very classic lines for this age. But as you can tell when we take a step back and in the B-roll footage, it is a boat that still looks extremely modern. It was way ahead of its time, and even though it's 30 years old now, it still looks incredible. Now, let's literally hop onto this thing and I'll show you guys everything I'm talking about. First thing you notice, these staples here along the stern helps keep everyone on board the vessel. There are staircases up the port and starboard side. You'll notice that they're all wrapped in teak with another gate right here. The teak covers the entire rear cockpit here with the table and the chairs and runs forward up to about midship where you are elevated up onto the bow. We get a quick glimpse of the amazing interior designed by Juan Carlos Espinoza, but let's go ahead and check out the bow first. As we make our way 66 feet to the front, we'll go by one door located at the helm, and then we'll come up here to a nice big sun pad. I apologize, I left the covers on today because we have this great footage I can show you instead. And really, for the most part, because I'm in Los Angeles and I have to go to Orange County later. And those of you from Southern California know every moment you wait to get home is another hour in traffic. Something you'll notice that is not located on the bow right here is a windlass for the anchor. That is because under this hatch, we have it all tucked away and out of sight. There's a secondary platform here where you can put lines, fenders, whatever you want, and then the anchor locker actually goes down there below. Really an amazing design that frees up all of this extra room. And if we look back from the front, we can see the radar tower up there, less of an arch, more of a tower, and we'll notice that the entire flybridge is open. Now, as we head back to the stern to hop on the flybridge, I'll tell you guys a little bit more about Nordlund. The engineering we just saw up there in the bow compartment, that is what they are best known for, building solid boats and the thought process that goes into every little detail. They're really in the business of making ships that are built to last. So if we head up the staircase on the port side here, we will find ourselves at the flybridge. We'll watch our head so we don't hit this tender right here. The flybridge stairs can be concealed by this sliding glass cover so you don't get water pouring down onto your teak. Above it is room for a tender. This one is a 10 feet AB tender. Forward of us, we have a nice electric grill and more storage underneath. On the starboard side, we have a sink and a refrigerator and ice maker combo. Heading forward under the radar tower here, you can see these big stainless steel poles that mount it and hold it up. We get to the helm. Once again, I'm sorry for not removing the covers, but I've got photos of it here I can show you over B-roll, and if we open it up, you will find yourself a steering wheel and similar controls that we're gonna find downstairs. Straddling the helm, we can find some storage compartments on each side. And if we move in front of it, we can get a glimpse of one of the skylights, one of the many skylights on this vessel. This one is glass etched, and we'll be able to see its design when we head down below. And then one final thing of the flybridge up here is we have a bimini that we can put up and get shade. So it is an open flybridge model, but you can still find yourself out of the sun. Heading back down the stairs here, we have a lazarette compartment that goes down there to the engine room. We'll check that out a bit later. But first, we will turn the corner and see the beautiful interior designing from Juan Carlos Espinosa. These sliding glass doors open all the way up to make this an extension of the exterior. The first thing you notice is this wet bar right here. It's got two refrigerators, another ice maker side, and the refrigerator side on this side. And a very interesting sink here that you can actually see all the way through. Kind of like a floating sink. Pretty neat. Off to the port side, you can see a little flat screen TV here. One of the few things on this vessel that is not original, but you can see where the old, bigger box TV back in 1995 used to come up out of the console. As we move forward, we see that wraparound seating on both sides that connects our salon here to the lowered galley over on the starboard side. Before we go and check that out, I'd like to show you guys little designs we have on the ceiling that make the entire salon area feel rounded and also separate from forward, giving you a bit of a lower salon, upper salon feel. We have the same raised height here that you've noticed on the outside as we head up. When you go from the helm to the outside of the bow of the vessel, you're at the same height. But before we go there, let's go see what you got in 1995 in your galley. We have a raised oven here. Off to the right side, we have a 4-burner stove, a microwave above that, a sink off to our side, and this nice dining table sort of top. You can make drinks here, set them up top here for your guests. And if you have any guests on the lower salon, you can go ahead and put that stuff right here as well, because underneath that you have your refrigerators, some cabinetry with some custom plateware. This is the first time we'll see it, but not the last. The original name of this vessel was John's Rendezvous, and it is labeled all over the place. Kind of like a boat version Easter egg from 1995. And one last thing I'd like to show off, we do have a dishwasher and trash compactor combo right here. And just in case you really love toast, you get a built-in toaster. So let's go ahead and head up to the upper salon. One last thing I'd like to show you guys is these big wooden beams they designed. They go ahead and curve all the way down in between those windows we saw from the exterior, kind of running a nice curve all the way through and completing the lower salon before moving into the upper salon. Dinette table here on our port side and have this bar top all the way around. And if we take the time to look straight up, we get that nice skylight design that we saw from the flybridge. Forward of this, we have the helm, which stretches the entire beam of the vessel up here. This boat was not just designed for people to be comfortable living aboard, but it was also designed for any captain to be comfortable operating. The big helm seat here slides forwards and backwards depending on your current need, whether you're entertaining back here in this space or whether you are driving. We have all of our switch panels down here in the cabinets below, and we have a couple Raymarine units right here. Some of probably the only equipment on this vessel that has been updated in the last 30 years. This thing is incredibly classic from when it was first built, and a great example of that is this voicemail machine we have over here. The digital answering system from Panasonic. Do your business out on the water, pick up your phone. I mean, this was really the Starlink back in the 90s. We also have some other goodies while we're over here. We have our Tank Century readers, and then we have this old Shipmate RS 6100. It's got some paper in it. You pop it open, it's got like some receipt paper in it. I will absolutely be looking into more on what that is. And then lastly, on the starboard side here, we have a ship's phone. You can see all of it wrapped in this old school wood, and as we come across the curving helm, we will head down below. To head down into the staterooms, you head down a set of stairs on the port side. Along here, you can see the kind of the master control system for all the power. This is where you control your generator, your shore power, which buses you want to operate. Through this entire cabinet system here that runs along the stairs, you have extra storage space, cleaning supplies there. You'll find that there is actually a ton of storage space on this vessel. Centered to here, little fake plant on the way down the stairs. We will start in the forward room. Before we get there, we have this little circular setup where you get to choose which direction you'd like to go. We're going to go forward into the V-berth, which is an incredibly spacious V-berth, maybe one of the only V-berths I can stand completely upright in. Again, storage space on the port side and the starboard side, even a little vanity over here on the starboard side with a place to sit. And then on the port side, you have your own access to the dayhead right there, which we will check out. A nice sink, marble countertop, head right here, and a little rotating shower, so that you can shower in a nice little tube. And even the bathroom has its own aircon. Now, if we cut back across to the starboard side, we will find a twin bunk room. Again, very, very high ceilings, some mirrors around it to make it feel spacious. And then we talked about how small the portholes were from the outside. You can tell they're a bit bigger looking here on the inside now that we are close to them. But the one thing I really wanted to point out, which we didn't really see up on the bow when we were there, but all the rooms have their own prism skylights. And I'm sure you noticed when I was talking out there earlier, but it's a pretty overcast day, and the entire interior of this boat has natural light in every room. This V-berth that we were in earlier, it has two. One on each side. I think it was a really clever way to get a bunch of natural light into a really overbuilt and well-designed hull without sacrificing all of the structural integrity that we see boat manufacturers do now when they add those giant windows down the sides. This thing was really made tough, and it was built to last and handle actual sea states. Now that I've done my yapping, we can see we have a cabinet up here, more cabinetry down here below. If we head down here into the master stateroom, we will find a washer dryer in the hallway along the way. And then we'll enter the master. Full beam master, bed, not forward and back, but rather left to right, or port to starboard. And the two things that really strike you about this room is, one, there's a giant tube in the middle of it. We'll get there in a moment. But secondly, it has a full sort of desk vanity working area with two chairs, one here and one that folds out here. Mirrors all the way around. Again, plenty of storage. It has its entire own closet over here on this side. And as we move back to the restroom area, we will find that that tube is actually its own shower, which I gotta be honest with you guys, I think I'd be able to use it, but a little big, and it's a little small in here if you can't tell by the echo of my microphone right now. Anyways, his and hers sink, his and hers vanities, and then the head is over through this door right here with its own little kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, towel area. So that covers the entire interior. I know you guys are thinking, time to go back up and check out the engine room. Well, you'd be wrong, because through the master is actually this door to not only the engine room, but this own little workshop in between the master and the engine room. You can access the engine room from two sides, that door through the lazarette we didn't go through earlier, or this door through the master right here. In this workshop, before we move forward, we have all of our breaker systems fully labeled. We have a full Craftsman tool set. We have all of our components nicely organized here. If we flip around behind us, we'll see another drawer that slides out and holds all kinds of goodies. And then we even have a full-size refrigerator in here. In our case, it's being used to store some parts because, well, you know, why would you keep food all the way down here? I don't know. Now, as we make our way into the engine compartment, the first thing we notice are MAN engines. Big ones, D2842LE402s. They put out 1,100 horsepower each for a total of 2,200 horsepower. And if you're a gearhead, you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of stainless steel. And you'd be right. It has a stainless steel package on top here. You can see there is a lot of stainless on this thing, including the exhaust elbows. Another Easter egg for you here. Each part stamped with the original name of the vessel, John's Rendezvous. And something else that will excite you gearheads is every single hose on this thing, except for these two fuel lines, is braided in stainless to keep it from chafing or wearing. I'm not joking, all of them. Boom, another one. We'll see how many we can find. Boom, down here. All of these lines, not just bare fuel lines, these ones maybe, but these ones completely braided from the factory like that. Before we move back, we can see updated Victron energy equipment, Mathis transmission control systems, engine room fans in the corner, and freshwater pressure tank systems, along with air compressors and other toys. As we do move back now, we will see two generators, a larger one and a slightly smaller one, as well as all those stainless strainers for the through holes, along with, you guessed it, more braided hoses. These ones operating a reverse osmosis system. So, as you can see, Nordlund, they are not messing around. A lot of stuff done right. I'm now in the rear here, where that lazarette was. Cable master systems on each side, little staircase up. We are currently under the table that we saw on the stern earlier. And, you know, room for lines, and another watertight door back here that closes off the engine room. So I normally do my engine room Christian test. No need in this one. There is plenty of space throughout the entire thing to do everything that you need. Now, normally I would go upstairs and do my star reviews for this boat, but as I mentioned, I didn't take the covers off. It's the middle of summer. I've got a couple things to attend to. So I will catch you guys back home at my own helm station, my office, and we're gonna go over the stars there. Oh, and one last thing. I'm taking this with me. It is a sheet that goes over every detail of the entire boat, how it was delivered, and it actually is a thank you that the owner sent to every person that helped work on his boat. From Edwin Monk & Son to interior design by Juan Carlos Espinoza. Tells you how it performed during sea trial, the engine horsepower, the generator size, all the way to the original Novarania jet tender. Very neat. We will use this in the next section of the video. All right, let's go over the stars for this Nordlund 66. For those unfamiliar, I rank every boat I review 10 stars for 5 different categories for a total of 50 stars. You can find the ranking for this vessel and all other boats I've done at JakeSea.com/rankings. The link will be in the description below, and remember, this isn't high school. A rank of 5 stars is average, not a 7. 7 stars is above average, not a C. Now, a brief summary of the vessel. This is a 1995 Nordlund 66. The 66 stands for length overall, and it is a beam of 18.5 feet. It weighs 84,000 pounds laden and carries 1,400 gallons of fuel, 350 gallons of water, and 125 gallons of waste. This Nordlund is powered by twin-man D2842 LE402 engines that make 1,100 horsepower each. This gives the vessel a cruising speed of 31 miles an hour at 2,100 RPMs and a max speed of 35 miles an hour at 2,400 RPMs. That performance package, paired with the incredible build quality and design, gives this Nordlund the highest score of any boat I have reviewed to date. At a total of 38 stars, the 66 excels in all categories, with its highest and lowest categories being quality and practicality. It got a 9 for quality because of the custom high-end build quality and attention to detail in the design. Outside of the shower tubes, it might be my favorite interior design of all time. And the only real place it lost points was to practicality because, well, it's a 66-foot sport yacht that still receives its weather information via a receipt printer. Don't get me wrong, it has just about everything a boat needs, and it definitely accomplishes its goal of being the coolest boat around, but with that open flybridge, it really is just a big toy. So thank you for watching. Again, the Nordlund 66 at the top of the leaderboard for now. You can see what it received in all the categories at JakeSea.com/rankings, and let me know what you think of this one in the comments. Smooth sailing.